Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celestine Expressive Healing Arts. I'm Cecilia Nis, and we're here for the full moon in Scorpio transit that's happening next week on, I believe, is Friday, May 1st, right? I can't believe it's already May. It is pretty amazing how time goes by like that. Gotta stay present. You gotta stay awake. But let's dive in. I love the fact that this full moon is actually called the flower moon. And I kind of I nerded out a little bit about that, and I wanted to bring it in, so I'll share a little bit about that as well. So yeah, let's begin. Scorpios are very powerful, strategic individuals. Yes, sometimes often misunderstood because their passions run deep. And unfortunately, I feel like we live in a very shallow culture right now. So not everyone can go down those depths into like the underworld. And acting as very insightful, loyal leaders, which is really connects to this King card. This is all about leadership. Will also excel at navigating complex emotions and uncovering hidden truths, for sure, definitely. And that's what this full moon is all about. With this Three of Swords and the Venom card, which I know I pulled those cards and I was like, ugh, should I just reshuffle and post? But it's what's coming through, and so that's what we have to look at, right? We don't always want to look at that. But again, it's connecting to what already came up in the new moon when I was talking about purging and releasing and letting go. I think we got the lava card from the Untamed Elemental deck, which was all about, releasing this something that's been repressed emotions, memories, definitely shadow work, which is here right now. So it's kind of bleeding through because again, these transits all connect and they all kind of overlap each other. It's just all these multiple layers of things that are going on simultaneously, right? One thing ending, something else beginning, things shifting constantly. That's just the nature of the reality we live in, right? Everything is constant change because everything is energy, and then energy never dies, it just changes form. And so that's what's constantly happening. Anything else I want to talk about? It's called that because it coincides with the peak blooming season of wildflowers across North America here in the US, right? And so the name serves as a traditional marker for the abundance of spring. And I love that. I love that it's called the flower moon because I was reading this article, and maybe I'll put the link below too if you're interested in reading the article. But it was talking about a particular flower, the daffodils. And I really connected with the metaphor of this beautiful flower. It was talking about how this flower appears to be such a very fragile, delicate flower. It has no like spikes or thorns, like roses have thorns to protect itself. So it doesn't have any of those. It has very thin, weak roots, very delicate petals, very vulnerable little flower for the harsh world. It reminds me of like very highly sensitive people, empaths like myself, who just have different sensory, processing abilities. And so it reminds me of that. And I guess maybe that's why I related to it so much. Because even though it seems very vulnerable and delicate and like it's not going to be able to survive, right? It does. It's a symbol of deep resiliency. Because even though on the outside it looks, weak, underground, it has this generative power that's stored in their bulb. So even if their the stalk breaks, even if all that breaks, they hold all their energy during the winter in this underground in the bulb, and they're able to rebloom in the spring, and they're a symbol of spring, because it's the first sign, the first flower we see for the season. And so when you see daffodils, you're like, oh, spring is here. And it's a very like hopeful sign, because, you know, after like enduring a long, cold, harsh winter, it's like, oh, now we're gonna, you know, the weather's changing, it's gonna get warmer, we're gonna have longer days, more sunshine. And even the color of the flower, it's like so beautiful and yellow and bright, obnoxiously bright. And so it's about this radiant light too, of hope and vitality and optimism, which I love. And we see it coming out in this card with the sun, and even with the king card, there's this beautiful symbol of like radiant light, which is great after this, right? you move into this. And even the Nine of Wands, where she's standing with this beautiful torch, very righteous, very strong, very resilient, right? Like the battle is over now, but I'm still, if I have to, I'm ready to, you know, set boundaries or take action, or fight for, you know, fight for myself, or fight for what's right, or advocate, which is what the king does, right? Be a leader in my own life, you know, take leadership and ownership of my life. But we'll get more into that as well. And then the last row is so much, it's a lot more hopeful as well. So we're moving from this dark passage into this more bright, optimistic future. So yeah, this full moon is all about cosmic, like a cosmic cleanup. So I want to mention that, because I don't want you to lose hope or feel kind of, because I'm going to be honest, when I saw these cards, I was like, Jesus, seriously? Like, but it's just like, again, it's Scorpio's like, we're traveling into our own psyches. We've been doing this deep excavating and like deep inner work, and stages of cleanup and purging. So this full moon, it is about purging, because even if you think about what full moons are, they're the part of the moon cycle where we're releasing something. It says here, it pulls hidden emotions and truths to the surface, demanding they be addressed rather than ignored, which is what I feel this venom is like whatever is being activated at this time is to help bring it up. Bring up the poison so that we can extract it out of our bodies, out of our psyche, out of our minds, out of our hearts. It says here, emotional alchemy and detox. Yeah, like a detox. Maybe this is also a good time. You know, I had mentioned spring cleaning, like your physical space, but maybe doing a detox, like, you know, health-wise for your body. You know, maybe, I know, you could take different herb medicines. Also mentioned that we had gotten a card, I think it was for the monthly reading, for the May monthly reading. We got a card, a plant medicine card, that was all about that. The properties of that plant was to help purge and detox the body, like the respiratory, digestive systems, all that stuff, the liver. And so I feel like maybe this is also guidance in regards to that, like doing a detox, especially if you've been eating a lot of processed foods, or caffeine or sugar, or all that stuff, or just like you know, you haven't really been able to reset your health routine. Maybe this is a good time to do that. But also emotionally, it's like an emotional, energetic detox. So it says this is a time to reclaim your power, release old baggage, toxic habits, energetic attachments that no longer serve you. Also within relationships, we've been working through relational themes as well, when it comes to intimacy and like speaking our truth, and all that is reaching a turning point as well with this, during this lunation. So expect unseeable truths, overdue conversations to arise, but not in a bad way. Yes, maybe because we were talking about endings previously, but maybe it's also not only for endings, but maybe to renew commitments, vows, you know, to deepen relationships. So good things can come out of these difficult conversations, right? Or these reveals of unseen truths that come up that can't be ignored. And you're like, we have to talk about this. It can't continue this way, you know? So we're releasing and purging a lot of energy. So this is the central theme. I'm reading to see letting go, and we've gotten the message of letting go for the new moon for sure. So this is potent medicine that we're working with right now, especially for this new moon in Scorpio. This is deep, deep shadow, underworld work here that we're always continuously doing, right? We're doing them in increments, you know? That's like the Three of Swords and the venom. And I had talked about like the venom, which represents poison, the poison being the medicine, the thing that we avoid, the thing that is like the biggest challenge in our lives, or the biggest fear, or, you know, something we still haven't worked through. So it's from this difficult challenge, it's gonna help us arrive at self-realization, like some sort of deep realization that helps us break this cycle once and for all. And I know that I've mentioned that, I think beforehand too, I think in April. But again, it's only been a month, so it's like these are things that we're going to be working through for a long time. We're wanting to get out of that so that we can then move to the next stage. Always growing, always evolving, always evolving. So it is a great thing, even though it looks really scary, because it's all about self-realization and breaking these toxic cycles. It's all about liberation, which we've been talking about too. It is about freeing oneself from the binds of the mind, right, of the ego that keeps us running in circles, spinning our wheels in these thought loops, right, in these obsessive compulsive thought loops. And something old, because this Three of Swords is from the past. Maybe it's like old trauma, old memories of being betrayed or abandoned or lied to or manipulated, if it has to do with relationship, or stuff from your childhood, right, that still affects you and impacts you, of course. So unless you get help, unless you get support. And so it's like bringing this stuff up to the, you know, to become conscious of it so that we can heal it. So again, the poison is the medicine. So don't fear, right? Don't fear this. And that helps activate this healing crisis for us to then confront it and metabolize it. Because if we repress it, if we keep it, in our unconscious mind, it's going to keep operating within our lives. It takes a very distorted form, you know, again, maybe a toxic habit, codependent dynamics. What it makes me also think of, which I'll talk about later, is, since we're talking about relationships, is like these, because it's also about protection, and we've been talking about protection, but like setting boundaries. And so these very like parasitic dynamics, very imbalanced dynamics, people who are energy vampires who kind of feed off your energy, also came up with this venom card for me. And so it's like protecting yourself from that. Even online, people, they're kind of feeding off your energy, or trolls. There's a lot of dark forces and energy out there. And when I think of this sun card, it's like, keep shining your light and radiating your light. And obviously there's going to be people who are not going to like that, but who gives a shit, you know? Maybe that's what they actually need in the first place. I mean, this world needs more light, more hope, more love, more peace. So for sure, our shadows exposed in order to integrate it into our consciousness. It's not an easy passage to go through, but go through it we must, if we want to get out of the off the hamster wheel. It also kind of reminds me of the Groundhog Day, you know, that movie with oh my god, I can't think of his name now. I love that actor, but he keeps waking up and reliving the same day over and over again. And at first it's like, oh, this is cool, right? Because it's predictable. He knows what's going to happen. He can kind of, he's having fun with it. There's something comforting and familiar about it, right? We get comfortable in these situations, even if they're unhealthy or untoxic, because it's what we know. And so eventually, though, it's like he's like, okay, this is becoming like a hell, like hellish, right? And creating all this suffering. It becomes maddening. And then, which I feel like this represents, it gets to a point where we're just like, I can't keep doing this anymore. Like, and we want that agony to end. And so we have to experience this tension in order to find the inspiration to break out of it, to free ourselves, is what I feel this is. But it also could be, lastly, the venom could also be, again, repressed, these more taboo, darker, like, emotions that not everyone knows how to embody and express in a healthy way. Like, and it's also, I think, in a collective level. Like, I think of rage, right? The emotion of anger, which, I don't know, or even sexuality, sex, right? The expression of sex and sexuality and all that stuff, which always gets repressed. And then it gets distorted and it takes all these other horrible forms. And so it's about that. It's about also allowing ourselves to feel our anger and feel all these other more shadowy, experiences of, that are part of being human, and finding healthy outlets to express those. Because then that becomes poison. Like, so if you think about repressed anger, holding on to resentment, bitterness, right? Revenge, all those dark underworld themes and feelings, they're coming up now to get purged and released out of our system, out of our psyche, because it's poisoning us. It's poisoning us, our own life force. Holding on to those emotions are just hurting us internally, right? And taking our energy and our life force, like I was talking about, with this parasitic dynamic or energy vampire kind of dynamic, where it's really just depleting us of our own energy and our own creativity and our own presence. So I feel like that's a forewarning about that as well. So it's a wake-up call, right? And wake-up calls are awakenings. That's what wake-up calls are. They're like, I'm here to wake you up. You can't look away anymore. Once you see something, right, you have to accept it. It's in your consciousness now. And so you can't no longer continue in the same way. Operating in the same way, you can't continue, because then you're not even the same person anymore, right? After going through all this, you're someone else. And so these things happen to help us realize that from these painful situations and circumstances, we can take ownership and responsibility and shift things for ourselves. All right. And then with the gazelle, I want to touch on the gazelle. Gazelle represents flexibility, adaptability. So yeah, I think in these times too, we're having to be patient with ourselves and others and be flexible, because things are forever shifting and changing. So learning to kind of pivot and be adaptable and staying open to change. There's going to be some sort of change of heart or change of direction. Whatever this realization is going to be that's unfolding, it's like, be patient, stay open. Word that the book used was, which I love, the phrase, it was imaginative improvisation. So yeah, be, again, creative about having to problem solve or improvise if something doesn't go the way you expect. Improvise, be creative. It says here, if it's not a literal change of direction, then maybe it's a sudden shift in perspective. The gazelle is a love poem. It symbolizes a love poem too, and I love that, because especially after this heartbreak, to have a love story come through, which there is a love story coming through. It reminds me of redemption is what it means. It's like this, there's redemption being offered to us now, which I love. And I'll take some redemption. I'll take it. It says here, when manifesting a desired outcome, there are phases when progress is slow and altogether absent. Gazelle suggests that sometimes a solution comes through a sudden shift in perspective. A fresh and even drastically changed outlook offers great inspiration. Move decisively in a new direction, and you have the opportunity to fall back in love with your original vision. Gazelle is a love poem, spontaneous and full of heart. And as you begin to embody these qualities, there is room for unimagined possibilities to emerge. Beautiful. And then the shadow aspects to be, mindful of is stagnation, being lethargic, listless, and indecisive. So yeah, it's like keep moving. Even if you're moving slow, even if things are taking longer than expected, it's like don't stop. Don't give up. Just, pace yourself and keep moving. Keep the momentum going. All right, great. I like this. I want to start with Nine of Wands. I feel like Nine of Wands connects to the daffodil flower because it's a symbol of resilience. If you see her, she's like, I've been through some shit, but here I am standing still, I'm here and I'm ready. I'm ready to do whatever I got to do to protect it looks like she's protecting her land or like protecting her, her property. And, she's like, boom. And maybe again, as I was saying, protection from these energy vampires and these parasitic dynamics and your own repressed anger and resentment and bitterness and all that. So it's just like, it's also like being vigilant to your own shadows, not denying them, but integrating them. Taking on this, instead of being the servant of your ego and your mind, it's like you becoming the master of yourself, of your own life. This, which is connected to the king. But the Nine of Wands is a symbol of our strength, determination, and yes, resilience. And even as we let go of this battle, right, we've been through some stuff, maybe we were holding on to some bitterness or pain or resentment or maybe just holding on to like wanting things to be different and like kind of not accepting how things ended or turned out, or not accepting the reality of the situation. And so now we've accepted that and we're releasing it. It's, and these kinds of transitions should be very thoughtful and slow, and you should take your time to do those things. And that's what healing is, right? Healing is allowing yourself the time and the space to arrive at these realizations at your own, honoring your own pace, where you are, your own timeline, and not having to feel like you have to do it the way other people do it or at a certain time frame, or like, by this age I should be here or there or whatever. It's like, no, honoring your own natural cycles and your own natural pace of how to process these things, and your own approaches too. What helps one person might not help another. And so it's like also honoring that, like, you don't have to follow mainstream, you don't have to follow what your friends are doing, what your family upbringing was, right? If you were religious, like for instance, I was raised Catholic. I don't practice any organized religion anymore, and but my family does, and so it's like, that's your thing and I have my own thing, and that's all good, So again, boundaries, it's like being clear on who you are and what you believe in, and really like holding that. This is the inner battle that continues living in our heads way after the actual problem, adversity has happened. Whatever it has been, it's over. And yet this inner turmoil lingers without you even realizing it. So I think that's connected to this, right? Even though this thing is already over, it already happened, it ended, that we were still kind of holding on to some aspect of it energetically, right? And so now it's like, that's it. It's like, it's over, and it's time to move on. Advice of the Nine of Wands too is to establish your boundaries and fiercely protect those lines. That's what we were talking about, right? If you allowed others to stand in your way or to deplete your energy, what were we just talking about? It is likely that you have not asserted yourself effectively with those people to protect yourself. So this is your chance, right? To do that. As I was saying, an opportunity to let go of bitterness. So as we're protecting ourselves and setting boundaries, it's also not to close ourselves off completely, because then too many boundaries will prevent others from getting close to us and helping us, right? We close ourselves off from possible support that can come in and help us through this healing process, right? So let's not close ourselves off completely. Yes, protect ourselves, defend, like, you know, advocate for ourselves, defend ourselves, but then it's more about discernment, right? Knowing when to act, knowing who to trust, you know. That's why taking your time is so good when you're, especially if you're getting to know people. If you are, because we have the potential of new relationships starting here, and it's like, as you start meeting people on a, you know, platonically or romantically or whatever it is, it's like taking your time to get to know people. If it feels good, if it feels right, if it feels aligned, if it feels different from this, right? From these patterns, and you know, that you're used to, these relational patterns that were toxic, ways of operating in relationship, right? Getting honest with ourselves. Because standing your ground can be that, right? Like being honest with yourself and telling yourself, like, this is it. I'm changing this. You know, I'm going to do something about this. So it's like, okay, yeah, now you realize this. Now what? What are you going to do about it? And that's what the Sun and the King card is all about, which we'll read about now. So the King energy, it actually reminds me of the Emperor card in the Tarot deck. And we've gotten that card, I think from the Osho deck, we got Rebel, Emperor. And it's all about taking leadership of our own lives, being decisive, knowing, as I was saying, knowing when to act. The shadow aspect of the King, though, is oppression, misuse of power, and corruption. So I almost feel like it's also a forewarning of, as you start asserting yourself, as you start taking initiative and, you know, going out there and making all these changes and this change of direction and whatever it is, it's like knowing that you're doing, again, remember self-awareness, that you're doing it in a way that's honorable, from a conscious place and not this egoic place, where it becomes like, you know, about power and controlling other people, or manipulating things so that it serves you, which is what corruption is, right? So at a collective level, we're definitely seeing that in full effect, right? Not only here in the US, but globally, we see these big nations misusing their power, you know, killing in the name of corruption, oppressing people. I mean, there's fucking genocide that's happening right in front of our eyes. It's horrific what's happening in Palestine and all those neighboring countries, and other countries as well. And we've seen it throughout history with the Holocaust and with colonization and with slavery, and even here in the U.S. with the forced removal and cultural assimilation of the Native Americans. It's like on and on and on. It's this systemic violence that continues, and I feel like that could be representative on a collective level to this venom and this Three of Swords, right? Feeling betrayed by our country, by our leaders, by our government. And then us trying to, taking our power back and doing something about it, like organizing, coming together to try to do something to fight these evil forces. Because if you think of like these parasitic dynamics or these shadow dynamics. I mean, Trump is a great example of that. He is the most narcissistic fucking psychopath. Like, I feel like he's a psychopath. Let's move on to the Sun card. Yay! The Sun card in this deck, the Untamed Elemental, represents divine service, which is interesting because then I was also thinking of the Sun. I thought it was going to kind of resemble the Sun card in the Tarot deck, and it kind of does. But so this is divine service, which goes hand in hand with the King card. So if we're talking about making sure we don't fall into the shadow aspects of the King archetype, I would say that the Sun is representative of the balanced aspect of the King, which is you know, what does a king do, or anyone in leadership or in authority, is like you lead with, you know, divine service. You're serving the people, you're serving a greater cause, right? A collective cause. And so I feel like that's what the Sun is talking about. It's like this balanced aspect of the rebel, the empire, right? Because a rebel could also be a rebel without a cause. They're just like they're fueled by their anger and the injustice of things and all that, and then they just go on this fucking killing spree, or like feel like they could do whatever they want. It's like total anarchy and total chaos, and it's like that doesn't work either. You know, total destruction is like so it's like also learning to channel that, to use it to your advantage, or to use it for a greater, you know, cause. And channeling that energy, that fire, that anger, that, you know, that wanting justice and equality, and being more of this balanced leader, conscious leader, just, right? Not abusing your power, not oppressing other people, not being dishonest, you know, not using corruption to get, you know, to sell your agenda. But then, you know, what I was thinking too, which I wrote here, is like it could also be the other way, on the other side of that extreme, which is like then it becomes like total self-sacrifice and martyrism, right? Being a martyr, where you feel like to be a great leader, even sometimes falling into the savior complex, right? Like, oh, you know, I'm the savior, I'm gonna help save all these people. And it's like, you know, no. We all have the ability and the capacity to self-realize and to self-actualize. And so we have that potential within ourselves. There's a seed in us, and we just have to nurture it and attend to it so that it could grow. And then again, other people could be catalysts to that, to help us tend to that. Other situations, external circumstances, you know, situations can help, you know, be catalysts for that. But really, like this, you know, activate it, but then we have to take ownership and control of our own lives, which again, I feel like is the Sun card. It's like there's a lot of hope and optimistic, and like, again, this power behind it of wanting to do better for ourselves, and in turn do better for others and the world around us. No, we've gone through so much, and we've seen so much, and we've experienced so much loss. It's just like we still have that innocence and purity that lives inside us, and we can't let go of that. Or maybe it's like we haven't connected with that internal innocence and purity for a long time, and it's like now it's like we're being guided to connect to it, to find it again, and through this excavation that we've been doing, we're having to find our light again and bring it forth. So we end with this beautiful, hopeful, it's actual new story, this new storyline altogether compared to this here. So the 10 of Cups, we could go to the 10 of Cups, very hopeful. You see two kids playing, they're on like a beach, two kids playing out in the shore line, and then you have this couple that's hugging, rainbow, and all these cups, almost like all this abundance of, I don't know, happiness and joy and contentment and love and all this coming through now, opening up The sun, it almost feels like the sun's, it's coming, trickling down from the sun. You see this here, like, that was cool. I didn't see that before. But so the Ten of Cups signifies ultimate emotional fulfillment, long-term harmony. So harmony, maybe after all this hardship and all this struggle, regaining a sense of harmony and stability. That could be that as well. I mean, technically the Ten of Cups is the card of happy ever after, happy endings when it comes to family and relationships. It represents secure joy, alignment of values, celebration of, or accumulation of a deeply happy period. So even if we get this thing gets activated again for this final release, or if we've been releasing things little by little, it's like we can, at the end of those transitions, those endings, we can also celebrate, right? Like just give thanks or gratitude for being able to get to the end of that, right? And so maybe there's small little signs coming through now of changes and things being, you know, changing for us and opening up for us, new opportunities, maybe even just, again, new friendships or relationships or something that's gonna bring in this more hopeful, optimistic energy, right? This is the clearing of this after a long, hard storm, the sun coming out, us being ready to move forward in this leadership role, this more powerful, empowered role in our lives. And then boom, 10 of Cups, things start to open up for us. Now we could see the possibility of what can be, you know. Practicing gratitude is wonderful. Maybe keeping a gratitude journal. And at the end of each day, you can at least write at least one thing, 3 things that you were grateful for that, you know, help that grow, that kind of energy to grow in your life. And I feel like that really brings in more of that, right? Good energy of possibilities if you stay open to just being grateful for what you do have. Changing and taking ownership of our narrative instead of allowing others or outside forces to dictate that. For sure. Sharing your story, letting people know your story, and motivate people and help other people out there that need to hear it, possibly. And moving on from there, we'll go to the Kiss and Arrows. I mean, this is so indicative of like love and relationship and intimacy, which definitely could be for some folks, but I like, again, to go beyond that interpretation and also just see something broader, and we'll get into it. 2 people holding hands. These go perfectly together. Instead of like, you know, having our jaws open with these fangs and like ready to attack and be angry and bitter, and like, it's like the opposite of that is this, love. Love. So arrows and the kiss could definitely represent love relationships, an existing one or a new one that's possibly coming in. And we've been getting that message. We got that message throughout April for sure. It was all about love and relationships and healing relationships and all that, and healing our ideas around love and connection and attachment. And so it's continuing here, I feel. It's definitely continuing here. It's a Greek god, actually. It represents a Greek god, the god of love, passion, and sexual desire. And it's often depicted with a winged youth. In later traditions, a mischievous child, which again connects to this innocence, almost like this innocence, this youthful innocence, youthful energy that still lives in all of us, no matter what age you are, the spark of life, the hope, optimism, idealism, the belief that anything is possible, things can work out in the end, or even get better, right? You start seeing that glimmer of hope, right? The sun shining again after this long, rainy, you know, storm. The sun coming out again. So again, so when you think of this youthful energy, I think of like playfulness. And so maybe it's about that. It's not necessarily about sex or like relationships or intimacy, but maybe it's about infusing our lives with this energy of eros, right? Having that very sensual relationship with life itself. Again, like reigniting the spark within us. This sun, this light, this radiance, this optimism. It's connected to desire, eroticism, and sensuality. I also feel like, yeah, it could probably literally mean that, where it's like maybe in an existing marriage or relationship, especially if you've been in a relationship with someone for a while, it's like you go through these lows, right? Highs and lows of like pulling away and coming back together. It's like a dance. And so it's like maybe it's like you went through this, you know, this moment where you weren't connecting as much, or there wasn't as much intimacy, and now it's maybe that being reignited in your relationship, right? More sensuality, more eroticism, more sex, more intimacy. So definitely that. Or maybe if you haven't been paired up, if you're single, it's like opening yourself up to that. Maybe, you know, or maybe you're going through a sexual revolution, or you know, exploring your sexuality, or maybe something is changing around your sexual identity, right? Maybe it's expanding, maybe it's you know, changing in some form. Being human is about that. It's about experiencing these wonderful things, about connecting and feeling love and pleasure and yeah, sensuality. It's like, and passion. But yeah, but feeling passionate about something, again, it doesn't only have to be about a person. It could be like feeling really passionate about something, and that brings you joy and contentment, like this 10 of cups. It brings you happiness, you know? Like, what do you long for? What is it that you're longing for right now? What is it that's been like, you know, that you feel your heart, your body, your spirit is like calling for? Because the opposite, I feel like that's the opposite of that, right? Whatever is being repressed, whatever you're not acknowledging, I feel like the other side of that coin is this. It's like, instead of feeding this, it's like feed this. Feed the things that you love. Feed the things that bring you back to life, that give you life, that sustain you. This is like poison. And it's at the opposite end of this. And this is bridging us. But we have to make that choice into our autonomy, our sovereignty, and deciding and choosing. And again, making this it's a decisive moment where we decide, that's it. Moving into this, opening up to this. Arrows. Again, it's this card. This card reveals an inevitable initiation into love's labyrinth. You may find yourself swirling in a new territory of desire and sensuality. Explore the labyrinth with a curious and honest heart. I like that. The shadow aspect of this is madness, projection, obsession. Yeah, which I feel like kind of connects to this or this. The shadow aspects of it, right? Maddening, projecting our own stuff, right, onto someone else. Or obsession, right? Or obsession or corruption or misuse of power, right? Now the Kiss card, and then we'll end with the Ladybug. The Kiss card, we know what a kiss is, right? Being deeply touched by someone, literally. Or maybe moved by something. Maybe we're moved by something. The sunset could be like the universe kissing you, right? Like beautiful sunset. You experience this. It deeply touches you, inspiring, right? But it could also definitely be about someone. Again, many different possibilities here. Because if you think about what a kiss does, or what does a kiss feel like? You could close your eyes if you want. What does it do to us? It's a spark. It's a spark. It feels like electricity moving through our bodies. It opens our hearts, our bodies to something greater than ourselves. It feels good. It feels expansive. It makes us feel like we're part of this larger existence, right? When we connect with this person and we kiss and we exchange energies, it's like this electricity, this, again, we're brought back to life. Because it's connection, and it's like it connects us, yes, to this other person, but also to this grander, I don't know, the mystery of life, I feel. And that's a wonderful feeling. I mean, so again, if you're single and you're not intentionally looking for love or intimacy in this way, it could just be the kiss of life. It reminds me of the Sade song, "Kiss of life, you gave me the kiss of life." So it's like life showering you with some loving experience or feeling, which connects to this Ten of Cups card. Again, this loving, everything's in harmony, everything feels good, everything's balanced, stabilizing itself, right? But again, for sure, there could be clear indications of intimacy, a union, an existing relationship that maybe means, again, reigniting the sparks in that relationship. Something shifts that helps you bring deeper intimacy into your relationship. Maybe that's erotic, sensual energy. Maybe it's more fun, loving, playful energy. Maybe it's been something that's been missing in your life that now you know comes in. So it's like, stay open. Don't allow this to make you close and contract your heart and your mind from possibilities of something better coming through, something more loving, something more nurturing. So again, yes, you wanna be, use discernment, and you wanna protect yourself and have boundaries and things like that. But then you also don't want to close yourself off completely, as we were saying. And I feel like this is what this is showing us. It's like, yes, we've been through some dark, painful situations, relationships, but then it's like, but still, there's still good people out there, and there's still great, wonderful possibilities of fulfillment and love and community and joy and happiness and creativity and, all these possible ways of experiencing life. And it's like, stay connected to that innocence of, don't lose your innocence, don't lose your purity, your hope. And then lastly, with the ladybug, I've never pulled this card out before, actually. It represents miracles. So again, it's like staying open to miracles. And what is a miracle? I feel like this is a great way to end this reading. A miracle is an unexpected event or marvel that defies conventional human or natural powers. So it's like divine intervention. So, right, something coming out of the blue, out of unexpectedly, that comes to help us, to support us. The thing that we needed, that, just to get the ball rolling. The funds, the money, the investor, the whatever, the opportunity, the job, the book that inspires, just like a miracle. It's like, wow, I didn't, like, this came at the right time, right when I needed it. Yes, it's these extraordinary supernatural events. I love that. That's what I've been talking about, magic and enchantment. And I think the ladybug represents that, reconnecting to that. These transcendent moments, right? They transcend natural laws, frequently attributed to divine, yes, intervention. And I'm all for it, boy. I'm all for it. So ladybug means miracle. It signifies a miracle. But remember, when you expect help to appear in a specific form, her gift can sometimes be overlooked. So keep an open mind. Divine assistance is improvisational. That's funny they mention improvisational, because I mentioned that. And surprising. It is lucid discovery, like tiny ladybugs saving a whole session of season of crops. I didn't know they do that. The same goes for the miracles that await you. Prepare for the possibility that they will be just as unexpected as they are mighty. So yes, I've been talking about this for the last 2 readings too. It's like maybe things, this miracle comes in and we might miss it because it's not coming in the way we expected it or the way we wanted it to be, right? We have this very clear vision of like, this is what I want, this is what I need. Or maybe if it is a relationship, like this person has to look like this and be like this and have all these qualities and this, blah, 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 whatever. And then this person comes in and it's like the last person you thought that you would feel this deep connection with. Same thing with jobs or opportunities or whatever. It's like, or that the least like likely person you thought that would help you and support you with a venture, a career, collaboration. Like maybe someone comes and they're like, hey, I want to have this great idea and I thought of you and what do you think if we do this and then, you know, and so it's just like maybe you didn't expect that person to want to collaborate with you or, you know, whatever. So it's just like all these unexpected miracles. And so stay open to that, to the way they show up, even if it doesn't really look like the way you wanted it to. I think sometimes we have and I include myself, like all of us, like we have a very limiting way of seeing things. Like we might cut ourselves short or like, you know, oh yeah, I just want like this, instead of like thinking bigger. Right, we keep ourselves small, or even our dreams and goals end up being very like, oh, this is what's possible, so I'm just gonna strive for this little thing or whatever, when really maybe deep down inside, you know, we have these grander visions for ourselves. And it's like allowing yourself to believe in that. You know, why not? Why can't it be possible for you? Why not? So what are you longing for? What is it? What's the big, deep, passionate thing that you're like, it's just like your heart is like telling you that it's calling out for you to give it love and attention right now? And open your palms, open your hands, open your heart, open your mind to receive support. But you got to first believe in that. You got to really believe in that. Believe in yourself and believe in this vision, this grand vision. And then allow the universe to meet you where you are and to help you out, making it happen. All right, my lovely folks, sending you lots of love as always.